Hi, my name is Chris, and this is Ashley, and we are a marriage surviving sexual addiction and infidelity.
So in this video, I wanted to talk about the first time I found out my husband was addicted to pornography, because it's actually a two-part story. And when I very first found out, I we had been dating for a little while, and he had said he wanted to tell me something because we were moving into that more serious. Are we going to get married? Are we not? He had something to tell me. And he had mentioned, I just want you to know I've had a problem with pornography in the past. And I was so naive. I didn't have any idea what questions to ask. I didn't know what red flags to look for. I just had no idea. I didn't know that I was even allowed to ask questions, if that makes sense. I just kind of sat there, and I'll tell you the things I did think, which makes me sad, and something that I know that I'm going to teach my girls like crazy, to ask questions, to absolutely know what red flags maybe to kind of look for, and to educate themselves. Even if they never ever feel like they're going to be drawn to pornography, somebody somewhere in their life is going to have an issue with it. Their dad does. So it's education, something that I really, really wish I had. So what happened was I thought, honestly, I was flattered. I was like, oh, here's this boy who is telling me something he's never told any other girls he's dated. And so it felt a little bit like flattering, I guess. And then it was all the stuff that came after that. Like, well, if he's telling me now, he'll always tell me. And it was a lot of, if we get married, we're intimate, so this won't be a problem anymore. We both talked about that. We thought about that, like that's something that's not gonna be an issue. Then that's one of biggest lies about pornography addiction is, I think young boys a lot of times think that they won't have the issue once they get married, but it was definitely still an issue. I also thought, just kind of maybe like, what young man hasn't stumbled across pornography? So here's the things that I wished I would have asked. I wished I would have said, when was the last time that you viewed pornography, and what are you doing about it, and how are you seeking out help, and what are we going to do about this if we get married? Is this going to remain an issue, and how often has this come up in your life? Just all the detailed questions that are obviously very personal and very intimidating to ask, but it's something that I wish I would have done, and something that I wish we would have prepared for. Like, if this comes up again in marriage, what are we going to do about it? I just wish we would have prepared for that, because it just didn't seem like I was prepared at all for hearing that, and I just kind of brushed it aside, and never brought it up again until after we were married. So after we were married, we had been married for 7 years before I found out the second time, and I would say like 5 or 6 times I asked him. Just because, like, if you would hear the word pornography or something, I would say, is that ever an issue anymore? Or is that something that would, like, does that ever bother you? What are some of the things that you would say that?
I think usually what I'd say is, obviously I'd always lie. I'd say no. And that's just because I was used to that, of bearing it, despite having told her. I mean, first of all, when I did tell her, there was kind of this huge relief that there weren't more questions, because as an addict, I'm not prepared to talk about that, but I knew I needed to tell her. So when she didn't ask, it was kind of that relief for the addict side of me. When she'd ask me, during our marriage, I'd tell her no, and I'd say things like, well, I would tell her my thoughts of her. I would tell her, how could I when I'm so attracted to you, and when we get to be intimate? And first of all, those things aren't lies, that I'm incredibly attracted to her and that we get to be intimate. But the lie is in that the pornography, it rewires everything and changes everything. And I mean, that's going to be a video for a whole nother time, but basically I just try and soothe her to let her know, no, absolutely not, because look at you.
And then he, like, I think also where I thought he would always tell me, I think once he was married to me, the shame was actually
Worse.
magnified.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't want to tell me ever.
Yep.
So then you fast forward a few years, and now we're at 7 years of marriage, and we're going to his parents' house and in Canada. And this is one of those things where it's like some women are like, I could sense something was wrong or whatever. When he told me no, I was completely at ease. I just believed him. I trusted him with my whole heart, and I moved on. Well, we went to Canada after we'd been married for 7 years, and his mom had asked for an updated family photo. Well, we only had his computer, and I never got on his computer. My computer was the one that had every single family photo ever taken. And but we had just gotten recent family photos, so I was like, oh, she emailed them to me. I'll get on Chris's computer and I'll send a picture to Costco. Well, he was out working in the yard. I had my kids at my feet, all the nieces and nephews, his mom, his sisters, everybody was sitting right there by me. And I have his computer open and I'm sending the picture to Costco, and boom, that one click changed our entire life. His Dropbox pulled up, and not only did I discover that he was most certainly still into pornography, but that he was actually having multiple affairs. And even in that Dropbox is one of the women he was telling her he loved her. So it became this life flipping emotion that we're going to do a part 2 video now that goes over the emotions that we both felt once this finally came out. Because sometimes people can gradually find out, or sometimes, like our situation, it's this huge lightning bolt of your life has completely changed. So we'll go over the emotions, and just to kind of let everybody know, again, we'll probably only do like 1 or 2 videos once a week. And we got baby number 4 coming in about 2 or 3 weeks. So we'll see how things are going there. But here are some of the videos that we want to do soon. We also want to talk about the roller coaster. We want to talk about triggers and trauma. We want to talk about how to set some
safe boundaries and bottom lines.
Boundaries, bottom lines, goals, things like that. So those are going to be some of the future videos, but part 2 of this video is the emotions that we both felt after